Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ثم بعد. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the weekly halaqahs at Sayyidah Khadija Center. For those of you tuning in online, welcome, welcome. And for those of you here in person, your presence is truly, truly appreciated. Now, the whole idea behind these halaqahs are food for thought, things to take away from one week to the next. And in particular, today's topic revolves around three letters. And if it wasn't for these three letters, none of us would physically be here today. And those three letters are M-O-M, mom. Mother's Day is around the corner. So this one's for all the moms out there. It's a conversation and discussion about motherhood. Now, to start things off, one way I always like to introduce a conversation is to make sure we're all on the same page here. We all say the same word, but we may not mean the same thing. So if I was to ask some of the sisters here, when I say mother, what's the first thing that comes to mind? Ammi. Okay, there you go. Mom, mother and mom. Okay, anything else? Like any other word to describe her? Love. Okay. Caring. You got a word, Rayan? Friend. Oh, mashallah. Your mom's your best friend. How cool is that? My brother. When I say the word mother, what comes to mind? Nurture. Very, very cool. Alhamdulillah. So the whole idea with, see, I looked it up. I tried looking it up on the dictionary just to see what the word mother was. And I was expecting some profound definition. But subhanAllah, when you look at different types of dictionaries, the Oxford Dictionary, Merriam-Webster Dictionary, it's pretty much the same. A female who gave birth. More or less. When you say mother, there's no profound way of looking at it. But there's something remarkable I discovered about the word mother. You see, mother is not just a noun. It's not just an adjective. Oh, she has motherly love. It's not just a noun. It's not just an adjective. Mother is also a verb. It's a constant action. Motherhood never stops. It's a constant job, constant work, constant upbringing. I'm sure the mothers who are here can attest to that. Yes or no? Look at her with a smile. Yes, yes, constantly, 24/7, 365. But subhanAllah, the word mother, if we would just appreciate it, just this word alone, it's not just a person, it's a verb. It's a verb. But now let's, man, you just launch off one after the other. You have it cooking, clean, taking care of the kids. What else? Any other takers? What is the traditional role of motherhood? Teacher. Okay, what else? Hmm, a guide. Right? MashaAllah. So I looked into this as well. Now you pretty much summarized, but let's just go things just bit by bit. For starters, when you have that newborn baby, you're carrying this infant in your hands. What's the first thing you got to do with this baby other than hold him or her tight and dear with full of love? You got to feed the baby. You got to feed the baby. You know, how many of you have always said, I'm hungry, and the cries just breaks the sound barrier. You know what I'm talking about? You ever see those kind of wailing? You get hungry, Rayan? I guess. And Ramadan especially, yeah, and it just goes off. So feeding the kids, bathing them. How about that? Did we grow up? Were we just born knowing how to take a shower? Were those instructions already built inside? Someone had to take care of us. And the mom is the one that usually bathes. And what about dressing? Dressing up the kids. Now, I don't know about you, and especially this young generation. I don't know if you have like embarrassing photos. And Rayan, I know I'm going to pick on you for a bit here, but like, I don't know if has your mom ever, has your mom picked an outfit for you that you weren't happy with? You're happy with all your outfits that your mom picked you? MashaAllah. Look at it. Is that the right answer? Yeah, look. Is your mom here? Oh, there she is. That explains the connection. Very cool. Yeah, I know you're saying the right things, mashallah. But typically, for a lot of folks, you grow up thinking, oh man, when I look back at my old pictures, my goodness, the fashion police would come after us, right? And then the other word is nurturing. That little baby, that infant growing up, nurturing them. Now, we move on to, let's say, household management. We talked about cooking, cleaning, laundry, organizing the family schedules. You know, Sapala, I know some may not want to admit it, but I remember one time, we're talking traditional family roles here. We're talking old school for a moment. I remember one time I was in university, and this is sidestepping the topic, but it's still relevant. There was the sheikh, he's asking the question. He said, what is the one thing you should look for in a husband? So it was divided. There were sisters on one side, brothers on the other. The sisters, they were just naming things right off the bat, like it was just ready and predetermined. He has to be funny. He has to be caring. He has to be patient. He has to have money. He has to be this, that, this, that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like it's just listing it off. And he was just saying, take some notes, boys. Like, take some notes. When it came time for the brother's side, asking the brothers, what do you look for in a wife? It was a pin dropped. I kid you not. A pin dropped when they were asking. They're afraid. One brother stood up, boldly said, she's got to learn how to cook. She's got to cook for me, man. I can't eat like biscuits and crackers and cheese all the time. And so traditionally, cooking was already built into it. And we're going to move on to modern day times in a moment. But just to give you an idea, we're just time traveling for a second. What's the role of a mother? Cooking, cleaning, laundry, organizing the family schedules. There's that. Emotional support. This is speaking to what you were talking about. She was talking about how mothers provide that emotional support. Ryan, again, you're the guy of the day here. If something bad happened to you at school, who do you run to? Mom. Is there any surprise? Like, why? You, sisters, you tell me. Why is a natural instinct to run to the mom? Because dad's not gonna do anything? Oh man, guys. Woo, it's okay. It's all honesty. Hey, open floor, gloves are off, no offense taken. It is what it is. We gotta have these conversations. But yeah, okay, so talk to me. So what is it that the mother can do that the father can't in this context? Have emotional, okay, can you dig deeper into that? What do you mean by emotional intelligence? Be more nurture. Okay, okay. Subhanallah, there you go. A mother will go to the end of the earth and back for her child. Like, even though she does not have certain capabilities, like you're saying, but she will do anything. She'll be that listening ear. Look, boys, gentlemen, brothers, like when something embarrassing happens, what's the top two words that keep coming up? When something embarrassing, you start crying. What's the two words that keep popping up over and over again? You know what, Ryan, huh? Not mom. You're crying. Okay, let me paint a scenario. Let me go backtrack for it. You're painting this. Let me paint this picture. You're at school. You fall, you trip, and you start crying. As a guy, what are the two words that people keep telling you? That's three words. Yeah, sure. Okay, be a man, right? Man up. That's where I'm going for. Man up. What are you doing, man? You're talking and you're crying and you're. That's the whole. But mom, she's that sensitive. She's got that sensitivity, and that's the emotional support. So now let's move on to education. Back in those times as well, like the mothers were taking care of the basic skills, values, and cultural traditions, raising the child. The first teacher that you'll ever have is your mother. The first teacher that you'll ever have before school, before public school, Islamic school, private school. Who's the one that taught you to say please and thank you? Mom, there you go, Rayan. You got it, man. So these basic things, but I will say this. I'm gonna make a distinction here for a second. When it comes to these academics, when it comes to academic stuff, math, English, French, geography, this, that's typically designated to the actual school itself. They're responsible for that. But when it comes to etiquette, making sure you don't bite off the ear of somebody else, making sure that you play nice, making sure that who's responsible for that? Mom and dad, yes, in the family. Point being, why am I sidestepping for a second is that oftentimes a lot of people think just push all the information or push all those duties to the school. Let the school raise the kids. And we don't paint everyone with the same brush. It's not here to judge. All in all, it's just more about separating the two, the real values. When you take off your shoes before you enter the masjid, when you smile, say please and thank you, this comes from the family. The behavior comes from the parents, right? And so that's one thing. Last thing as well, back in the traditional times, was role modeling, being a role model for their kids. How should you behave and act? It goes hand in hand here. When a mother starts going wild whenever there's something wrong, guess what? How do you think the children are going to respond? Without saying a word, without telling them, without giving me a lecture, when they see their mom scream when there's a mistake, what do you think the kids are going to do? They're going to scream. And I can tell you this firsthand. I've seen mothers at the Costco lineup, and when they don't agree with a certain refund policy, here we go, right? Let me talk to the manager, and they start berating you know what I mean? The whole 9 yards. Guess who's right beside the mom? The little girl. She sees that. And guess what? The manager says, okay, you know what? I'm not going to deal with this. Here's your refund. What is that little child going to do? The next time something goes wrong, lo and behold, complain about it long enough and you'll eventually get it. That's the inherent lesson that happens. Now again, is it painting everyone with the same brush? Of course not. And Costco situations, that's a whole situation right there. What's the point? How you deal with problems, your kids are going to absorb it. They're going to see it through osmosis. You may not verbalize, I didn't tell her that. I didn't say that. I didn't teach. Seeing role models. All right, great. So that's back in the day, traditional, quote unquote, role of motherhood. Let's bring it now to today's times, modern times. What do you think the role of a mother is today? Not 1500 years ago, not 1000 years ago, right now. What's the role of a mother? Same as it was before. Okay, what else? Hmm. MashaAllah. So the mother is saying that one of her things firsthand is that there's all these conflicting values. You have, we're living in a multicultural society, mashallah, the beautiful place of Canada. With that comes all sorts of different values and beliefs and what have you. And so it's very easy for the child to be swayed any which way. So you're always on guard, essentially, as a mom. I got to make sure that the values that I believe are instilled. One way to put it, or one analogy I've heard, it's almost like you're trying to download your software into your child. Your software meaning your values. What do you think is right as a Muslim living here? How am I going to download that in my child and so there's no virus infection or what have you and they get swayed here and there? Very tough. Very, very tough. But mashallah, it's a very good point. And that's it. You all nailed it. Everything the traditional roles that were outlined before is expected today, and the finances on top of that. Look, I know Imam Slimi mentioned this beautiful phrase, like, I'm cautiously optimistic. Or he says, optimistic with reservation. Look, starting new families is great. But let's be real here. Take a moment. Is one income enough to sustain a household? Look, he's like, no way. Look at that, right? No, with a capital N. So now guess what? The traditional way, who goes out more to work, the husband or wife? I'm talking okay, let me let's go back for a second. Traditionally, who goes out and gets the cheddar? Who makes the money? Traditionally, back in the old days. Yeah, okay, the husband, he goes out. Who stays home? Mom, right? The wife. Now, you try to work that formula, guess what happens? Evicted. You see what I'm saying? Unless if the guy can provide good source of income, it's not possible. It's a reality. Mom and dad are going to work. So imagine you're a mother. Think about this. I'm going to get a headache just listening this out. Don't worry. So you have to bathe, you have to dress, you have to nurture your kids. Don't forget, you have to cook, you got to clean, you got to do the laundry, and you got to organize the family structures. Make sure that you offer them emotional support and make sure that their manners are well taken care of, that they're angels, mashallah, in the household. On top of that, make sure that you're the pitch perfect, like picture perfect in the whole household and making sure that you're okay. And on top of that, make sure you bring some money. Where do I sign up, right? Is that how it goes? So that's the whole thing. Today's time now is a huge swerve with regards to money, finances, and it's tough. Now, with that, just to highlight and appreciate for a moment some of the common problems outlined that mothers themselves say. Let's list out some of them, just to gain an appreciation. Sometimes we take mom for granted. We take mom as just mom is mom. Just mom is mom. See, when we decide, how do you define what a mom is? Mom is mom. That's it. Let's for a second outline some of the specifics. What are some of the problems they themselves are saying that may not come to the surface? One of them is a phenomenon called stay-at-home mom depression. Stay-at-home mom depression. What does that mean? Or you know what? You tell me. What do you think that means when I just say that? Stay-at-home mom depression. It's a thing. Depression caused by stress? Okay. Unpack that. What kind of stress? Right? You make me laugh, man. Because I love the way he's just listing it out. He's like, she gotta take care of the kids. She has to cook. She has to clean, and she's depressed because all the stress, and there's no one to help her out. MashaAllah, man, I'm telling you, mom, MashaAllah, I'm telling you, you downloaded that software very well, MashaAllah. So stay-at-home mom depression, sometimes you might have people who, just a survey. How many of you are born and raised here in Canada? 1, 2, 3. Okay, how many of you moved here? Okay, 1, 2, 3. MashaAllah, the rest. Sometimes when people move to Canada, they may not have everything. And so oftentimes to stay home, just take care of the kids. This is a plan or a strategy. But what happens is the mom starts to lose her identity. She's not stimulated anymore. The first bit, it's already tough enough as it is, but now it starts to become routine. You're just wake up, cook, clean, making sure you wash the kids, go, rinse and repeat. And over time, that lack of variety, that lack of stimulation, it eats away. It's almost like you're a prison in your own home. And as a result, yeah. Yeah, subhanAllah. She's saying that it gets worse. Like there's no days off. It's like you can clock out. You know, when you have a bad job at a bad day at work, oh, alhamdulillah, just clock out. At least I have a few hours to myself or a whole day. Mom is on all the time. And so with that constant monotonous routine, it's tough. Now, another thing, another problem moms have are sleep deprived. Sleep. Sleep. You know, I try to advocate that sleep is the best medicine. You know, sleep. We're living in a society 24/7. You know, Netflix and all that, Netflix and chill. You don't have to stay up until 1, 2, 3 a.m. And if you're not getting enough sleep, how many hours do people say you need to sleep a day? 8 hours. Any other numbers that you hear? Six, between 6 to 8. How many hours do we actually get? Right? Depends. So sleep. You're saying 2, 3, 4 hours, mashallah, and you're still functioning. Oh, subhanAllah. May Allah give us the strength. It's tough, right? And I remember one time I had one of my professors, he's an architect. MashaAllah, he's a very, very intelligent guy. He recently had a baby. And I asked him, I said, how would you describe life with a baby now? He said 2 words: constant interruptions. Constant interruptions. I can't do my work without this little one coming in and doing this. So imagine you're trying to sleep. Oh, alhamdulillah, finally, I can relax. What a long day. And then all of a sudden, okay, you know what I mean? That was okay. So now there's no, you know what I mean? So now lack of sleep is a big problem, right, for mothers. Now, another thing, your body. Your body starts to change. And some sisters aren't equipped to handle this. Like some point they might think, okay, all my life I've been this certain physique, now I'm a mom, suddenly everything changes. Hormones is another thing, right? And especially with self-image, this is magnifying. So body changes. Your bank account gets drained. Okay, this is another thing with mothers. Like your bank account, you know how expensive it is to have a kid. We're talking about one single family. Remember we talked about the difference between income. One child. I remember my professor, or one of my, back in the day when I was in high school, one of my high school teachers told me, he said, you know, if I didn't have a child, I would have a Ferrari by now. It's expensive. You know, you don't think about this. The food, the diapers, the carts, the toys, the clothes, and. All right, it's tough. Right, Ryan? Yeah, exactly. Now, another, but this is the probably the saddest one. It relates to back to the first one. For a mom, oftentimes you might hear them saying that your freedom is gone. Your freedom is gone. Before you go out, I have to check in to make sure that I can arrange things for my kids. Before, when you wanted to go out, you have your friends. Hey, you want to go to this restaurant? Let me check my schedule. Oh, okay, I'm free. And you bolt. Now, if you're a mother, you have a little one just sitting right here. You have to check in with this little one now. Your freedom now is gone. And even still, sometimes in social circles, mom, I'm sure you can relate to this, is that now when you're a mom, it's like you almost have a different status among friends. You can't hang out with your old friends like you used to. Your lingo starts to change. Your thought process now starts to change. You're not just thinking about how my, you know what, I don't want to assume. You tell me, what were some sisters? I don't know how, none of you are mothers? Okay, none of you. You're all like very enthusiastic with that head shake. But you tell me, sisters, just curious, what are some of the things that y'all talk about? What do you talk about generally among the sisters circle? The gym. Okay. What else? Yeah, look at her. She's laughing. I know there's some things out there that maybe it's okay. Work. Okay. What else? Feelings. And going out. Okay. Plans. Yeah. Very, very cool. Now, mom, what are some of the conversations you have nowadays? You're She's saying the first thing that changes when you become a mom, that designer bag turns into a baby bag. There you go. Y- You're right. I was gonna say your whole mind revolves around your kids. I think people don't expect this. Every decision you make, now all of a sudden your kids are at the forefront. It's not like, how do I feel about this? Maybe I should go eat some cheesecake. You start thinking to yourself, what will my son or my daughter do? Or you're thinking about them all the time. MashaAllah, it's never a day off. Always on. The switch is always on. There's no off switch with being a mom. SubhanAllah. So, all that being said, can we at least pause for a second here? Can we gain a little bit, a tiny, an inch, a small amount of appreciation for what mothers do? Yes or no? Yeah, yeah. There you go. That's it. Yes. MashaAllah. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, right? I'm sure every mother has their own story and more of what they go through. But now let's talk a bit about the Quran, subhanAllah, and how, as for us as Muslims, I'm just thinking about just connecting the two. So we talked a bit about the role of motherhood from back in the traditional days, now in today's time, how things have changed, and it's tough more than ever. But what does the Quran have to say, or just is there any depictions or any things happening with motherhood? Can anyone tell me, just throwing it out there, anyone know of any mothers mentioned in the Quran? Who are some examples? Miriam, yes. Mother of Jesus, alayhi salam. Perfect, yeah. Sarah, Hajar, yes, okay. The story of Ibrahim, alayhi salam. Who else? Any other mothers mentioned? Hmm. Musa, yes, exactly. You beat me to it. You beat me to it. You're getting that. Okay, you spoiled it. It's okay. Okay, Musa's mom, alayhi salam, right? Very cool. But I think we're forgetting someone. Hello? Sheba? Queen Sheba? Like Belkis? Okay. Was she a I have to verify that. But like, yeah. Okay, very cool. Yes? Yeah, okay, there you go. Who was the first mother? I mean, Hawa? Name in English? Eve. I mean, let's start there, right? I was saying mother. I was like, who are some examples? Yeah, Maryam is one. Let's talk about the first mom. Why not? And subhanAllah, like just to set the stage for a moment about her. SubhanAllah, you have Adam alayhi salam, first human being ever. First, number one, in the sense of chronological order, first human being ever. Adam alayhi salam, he Adam alayhi salam, he was surrounded by the angels. He's in Jannah. May Allah make us all among the people of Jannah. Ameen, ameen, ameen. And not just Jannah, Jannatul Firdaus. Why not? Ask for the best, right? So Adam alayhi salam, he's in Jannah. He's hanging out, looking around. What's in Jannah? We got trees, you got all these amazing things, and he's hanging out and he's seeing all these angels. And so loneliness starts to kick in. He's the only one. Smile, I've seen, just as a side note, if you ever see children playing in the playground, when they're not the same age group, many kids feel left out. You know that feeling? You see that before? Look at Ryan. Why are you like very, mashallah, very enthusiastic? I love it. So you when you're seeing all these kids are playing, having fun, and then there's just that one. It's sad, man. It's sad when you hear that. Adam alayhi salam is looking around, he's seeing all these, he can't relate. Now what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives him a companion. And who is this companion? Hawa. And subhanAllah, the unique thing about Hawa as a female is her ability to give birth. You notice his wife, companionship. SubhanAllah, I remember I've heard it been put like this. I saw a t-shirt the other day just to say, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chose to give Adam a woman. Right? And I saw this t-shirt the other day which says, God created Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. You see? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created a woman to be a companion for Adam alayhi salam. And so, but what does this relate to us in terms of motherhood and fatherhood? So many times nowadays, you have families competing with one another. You have husbands and wives fighting with one another. You have fathers and mothers fighting with one another. So instead of the father and the mother competing, why not have them complete each other? Same way as how Adam alayhi salam and Hawa are complete, not compete. You see, you need a father and a mother. One doesn't have all the answers. You can do your absolute level best. To all the single mothers, the single fathers, life is tough. I'm not even here to just pretend. No, I'm not. It's not easy. The single mothers and fathers out there taking on the role of both. It's impossible for many cases. There's a limit. There's only so much you can do as a father. You will never get that level of emotional maturity or that level of emotional support like a mother can. That nurturing never will happen. You have prophets like Yaqub alayhi salam, mashallah, prophet, phenomenal. At the same time, there's limits. And at the same time, there's a mother will not do everything a father can. She won't. You have a lot of young boys, young men. They're fatherless. They don't have a father in their life. And the mom, she's doing everything she can to make it right. Doing everything she can to fill in both roles. But there are some things, brothers, can you agree with me that there are just some limits, some lines you can't cross as a guy? From one brother to another. There are some things there's a line. As much as she is your everything. You see? So Hawa, why am I bringing all this up? She is our mother first. And the whole point of this is that motherhood and fatherhood, they're compatible. They're completing. They're two pieces of one puzzle. You can't have one, I'll just do this, one or the other. And then the second thing is another example, a story in the Quran which is mentioning is Musa alayhi salam's mom. Now, just to paint a bit of a picture here again, when it comes to Musa alayhi salam, is he's a baby, an infant, the most vulnerable you could ever be. He doesn't have the strength, he can't talk. Infant, there's nothing more vulnerable than an infant. You can't fight or you can't even lift your head up. Do you notice this? When you have a little baby infant, they're always lying on their back. You know why? Their neck muscles, their back muscles aren't enough and strong enough to keep that toddler upright. So even you can't even stand up straight. You can't. So the infant is now totally dependent on the mom. And so Musa alayhi salam's mom clutching. And there's mass genocide. Pharaoh, he's going around. He hears this prophecy that someone's going to overtake. So let's do it. She's holding her little infant baby, motherly love. She goes to the river, the Nile River, and you see the order come down. Throw it. Throw your baby. Mothers, mom, are you terrified of water for your little ones? If you ever go swimming or, even a bathtub is too much for some. It's too much. Why? Because you're scared of drowning. The water is a side note, man. The ocean is a terrible thing, man. I don't know. When I say terrible, it's so mysterious. It's so dark. It's so. Anyone else have a fear of ocean? Yeah, look at this guy. Yeah, you know what I mean? Go on YouTube. If you don't believe me, go watch videos of terrifying things in the ocean. Oh my goodness. I like the land, alhamdulillah, perfectly fine. I'm okay. Dry and wet, here it is. I mean, this is all I need. Just no sharks. So she's given the order, throw him, tossed. And subhanAllah, this in and of itself shows how much trust that she has in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Did she see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala came down and say, okay, let's do it. Out of pure leap of faith, throw. As against her motherly instincts. You see soldiers from all corners. What's your natural instinct if you're supposed to hide? Well, I already gave it away. You have to hide. Someone's on the lookout for you. Then did you just go straight into the open? No way. It's against the point. The thing is with her motherly it's against her motherly instincts. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ordering her to go against what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put inside of her. And through that, throw it. Crocodiles, alligators, snakes, what have you, whatever is in that water. You talked about the ocean. Go look at it. The Nile River. Oh my gosh. Today is pretty rough. I wonder what it was like back then. And subhanAllah, safe and sound, Musa alayhi salam ended up in the palace of the Pharaoh. Why am I saying all this? Why am I sharing this with you? It takes superhuman strength to do what she just did. Going against your natural instincts, just an order from above. Throw him, toss him into the water, and you will be reunited. I promise you that. Mothers will go to the end of the earth for their kids. She will do anything she can to protect him. I kid you not. Nowadays, I'm not shocked anymore by a lot of things, but subhanAllah, when you see stories, a child is just underneath a car. You see this before? And the mom just out of nowhere, not a bodybuilder, not like years of experience deadlifting or anything like, just lifts the car out because of pure adrenaline. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the mom something else that you will not contain or quantify. You just can't. You just can't, subhanAllah. So that's all this stuff now. I want to take a few minutes here. I do have some questions that I have some resources available. I want to make sure I make mention of that. But just curious while we have, mashallah, the brothers and sisters here, are there any questions about motherhood, things we discussed, things outside of it? Before I get into some of these questions, is there anything pressing on your mind, any questions that you have, maybe as a mother or future mother perhaps down the line? All right, so, or for us here, for the brothers, maybe you have a problem with the mom. It happens. We're not perfect. Just opening the floor for a second. Any questions about motherhood, what we talked about, or something fresh in your mind? Oh, yeah. Okay, I see you. Yeah. All right, great question. And you know what? There's another question related to that. I'm going to try to tie these two. Thank you very much for asking that. So, for those who didn't catch that, mom has this status in Islam, super important, still high up, no question about it. But, we're human beings. We're not always going to get along. So, if you have an argument with mom, what do you do? How do you navigate through that conversation? Before I dive into it, just curious for you, what are some examples or things that worked for you in the past? If you get into an argument with mom, patience. Unpack that a bit. Okay, so what do you mean by patience? Okay, so show patience, different generation, just hang in there, basically, is what you're saying. MashaAllah, very cool. Come to a common understanding. How? Okay, negotiation. So I mean, compromise. So you want biryani, she wants shawarma, and you work it out, and you figure out what's the combination, what's the cross between shawarma and biryani. Make a oh, look at that. Just mix it up. Half biryani, half shawarma. There, khalas. That's it. Done. But okay, yes, mom. Today biryani, tomorrow shawarma. So come to a see all this. Okay, Masha, keep going. Yeah. Okay, unpack this. So you're in an argument, heated argument with mom. I'm sorry, sister. I'm just like you have. I'm just trying to picture it. Like what? Okay, my mom. Okay, I want to be a doctor, or no, I want to be a. I don't know. I want to be a graphic designer, but my mom wants me to be a doctor. Okay, I forgive you, mom. I forgive you for pushing me in this direction, but I forgive. Like I'm just trying to think. It's very cool, yeah. Do you think they have the right to do that? Good question. Okay. Sense. I'm gonna hold on to it. I'm coming to that. Very, very good. Very, very strong point here. Yes. Mm. Okay. MashaAllah. So make an effort, essentially. That's the thing. So to see things through the eyes of someone else. So you see six, she sees nine. You have to go to her side and say, why are you saying nine? Don't raise your voice and don't argue. So fair, fair. So one thing I would say, okay, okay, one more, and then we'll put everything together. Don't worry. So one more, yeah. So get a mediator. So let's just say it's okay. Fair, 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 fair. Very awesome advice here, all in all. So for those of you tuning in, or for those of you coming in, mashallah, assalamu alaikum. The whole topic for the conversation is about motherhood. This particular hot topic is, if you disagree with mom, you have an argument, what should you do? For starters, one of the things is, like you said, start from a place of love. When I say start from a place of love, know that your mom is not actively trying to sabotage you. At least I'm assuming that. She's not out to get you, make your life miserable on purpose. She's coming from a place of love. She's coming from a place of safety. I just want my child to be happy. I just want you to be safe. That's the place she's coming from. Now, the execution is where it gets problematic. Let's use the example about the career. Now, if this is a situation about career, you want to go into I use architecture as an example. You want to go into architecture, mom wants you to be a doctor. Why should I be a doctor? Mom is presenting the case. Doctor is stability, it's prestigious, you're going to make good money, and people will, it's just good for you, and you help, and you'll always be in need. You'll the role of a doctor so you look at that, but your heart is telling you want to be an architect. Okay, how do you manage that? One phrase I always like to use is, if your only tool is a hammer, then every problem looks like a nail. If all you do is to use logic all the time, fight back and forth, that's all you have at your disposal, it gets problematic very fast. There are other ways to communicate, other ways of persuasion. And one thing I always say, and you can even check out, there's another video I did where there's 4 ways in how people get motivated. People are motivated through reward, through punishment, through logic, and through challenge. All from the Quran, you can see it. Some people are motivated by Jannah. Some people are motivated by avoiding Jahannam. Some people need to logically make sure it makes sense. Some people like a challenge. So having said that, if one way isn't working, try different ways. And I've experienced this firsthand. When dealing with the youth, sometimes it doesn't register the first time. So if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, it's not going to work. Try different approaches. Go for the reward route. If you do this, well, I'll get this. If I avoid this, then there. So there's different approaches. Now, coming to the question. Now, as a mom, you want to say something else? Or? Mm. SubhanAllah, there you go. So mashallah, very, very nice. Jazakallah khair, I appreciate. So the whole idea is, it's one thing to say my word is final. This is where a lot of parents would, I don't want to. Yeah. Yes. So now it makes sense. Okay, so here's another point. So okay, let's unpack this a little bit. This is very, very, mashallah, very what kind of, it's a big zone. Let me see how I can cut to get to the heart of it. So it's all about credibility. I think is what you're saying. If I'm a father, I own a grocery store, and I'm telling my child, go be a doctor. The child's gonna, and I grew up in another country. I grew up in the Middle East. I grew up in another country or another area. My thinking, my process, my values, everything changes. Yeah, everything is totally different. Hard to transition. It's hard to unlearn some of the stuff here. Right? You bring it here and you say, okay, if I'm a grocery. So now think of it as a parent, as a child now. You're looking at your child, the child's saying, okay, you want me to be an engineer, but you're a grocery guy. Do you think they're going to listen? Now, the thing is, this is where the thought process, I want you to be better than me. But the problem is now the child is saying, why should you decide my fate? This is where it comes. So now how do you manage this? As a parent, know that you come from a place of love. How do you persuade? Here's how you do it. Here's how you do it. I'm revealing the secret sauce to everybody here. You wanna tell them 2 plus 2, but you don't give them 4. So many parents, they say, I give you the answer is 4. Don't give them 4, give them 2 plus 2. Guide them, so let them come to their own conclusion. Make sense? So let them come to their own conclusion. Secretly, you guide them through ways. How do you do it? Talking with people. Like people who is an engineer, for example. You arrange for an event or something like that, and by chance you have a friend who's very good at this. He sees what the possibilities are. I had a friend like this. He was in real estate. He wasn't in real estate at all. He was inspired because he saw his cousin going into real estate. He saw the opportunities of what his cousin did, and his cousins in the US. Because he saw it, he tasted it, he see it, he says, I want to do it. The parent didn't have to do anything. So don't give them 4, don't give them the final answer, give them 2 plus 2. Makes sense? But even still, knowing you're coming from a place of love, Nuh alayhi salam is trying his best to guide his son. His son said, I want to go to the mountain. This is the ultimate form of this. Now forget about careers. We're talking about your life or death here. Nuh alayhi salam is telling his son, come with me. Is Nuh alayhi salam credible? Yes or no? He's a prophet. He's not just a prophet. What is he? One of the 5 mightiest prophets. Who is more qualified than him at that time to talk? Even still, even as credible as he is, as amazing as he is, even he couldn't guide his son. So knowing that we can, if your only tool is a hammer, every problem is like a nail. And if you guide, trying to be not as an authoritative figure, but as a counsel. You ever see consultants? Take it or leave it. This is more often, if you present it well, they'll take it. But if you say this is the only solution, are you more likely to accept it, or are you saying, no, man, you're forcing me, you're constricting all my options? Make sense? If I tell you, look, buy this car, and you're not gonna regret. It's up to you whether you like it or not. It doesn't make a difference for me. I'm telling you, I'm sharing with you. Here's my evidence, my stories, my this. This car is good for you. The choice is yours. When you say it like that, the choice is yours. Giving power to the decision maker. Are you more inclined to do that? Or if I was to say, this car is the only car you should drive. You shouldn't drive any other car except this one. Why? Because I said so. Or because it's this. Let them come to their own conclusion. It's stronger that way. Don't give them the final answer. Guide as a friend, as a counsel. Exactly. But it's just but now it's not like you're talking to me as an authority. Most people have a problem with authority. You know why they have a problem with authority? It's because of the parents. This is another, this is a whole, you open another can of, this is the can number 1, this is can number 2 of work. Yeah, you just saw it. Exactly. So discipline is another big one. Man, I wish there was a series or something like that. How to discipline your kids without being the bad guy. So many people are scared of this. You're right. If you plant the seed of a tree and the roots or the trunk is growing like this, when it's still in its early stages, are you able to correct it? Yes or no? There is a way. But if I leave this tree trunk to grow for 20 years, you have to cut it. It's gone. No more. Don't worry. 5 more minutes, guys. 5 more minutes. But that's it. This is the same idea as human beings. When you plant the seed and you don't correct it right from the beginning, it becomes much more difficult to correct. Habits. We're all repetition, habits. If you don't brush your teeth when you're 5, it's going to be difficult when you're 50. So you're right, but enforcement, I'm your father, I'm your mother, I love you. I come from always reassuring them that I'm coming from a place of, son, I love you. My daughter, I love you. I want what's best for you. Marriages. Exactly. This is a third can of mashallah. You come up with all these can. I mean, each one of these deserves parental advantage. You're right. And last thing I'll say about this before wrapping up here is that subhanAllah, when it comes to mom and dad, I know the conversation today is about mothers, but this is going to just extrapolate it. Mom has seen a lot. She's been through a lot. She sees the finish line. The hardest part is getting your kids to recognize that finish line. And you cannot raise your kids the same way you were raised. I ask again, now with this updated audience, how many of you are born and raised here in Canada? One, two, three, four. I think there was a sister here, no? Five. How many of you moved here to Canada? Allahu Akbar. You see my point? So if the strategies back home worked on you, it's not going to translate well oftentimes over here. And I say this, it's not like brand new. I'm not talking some revolutionary stuff, but applying it is the big thing, right? SubhanAllah. Now, to wrap up here, I want to give some resources. I don't want to just talk about doom and gloom and problems. Talking it out is great. For any mothers who are struggling in silence, suffering in silence, there is help, there is hope, there is opportunities out there. You have a lifeline. I'll give you a few right now. There's this website called muslimmoms.ca for us local here, muslimmoms.ca. Now, I got to have a disclaimer. I haven't actually used their service or this, but what I did notice is that when I looked into what they're about, it's all about connecting local moms here. They have a Facebook group. I saw over 28,000 people in that group. So if you need some helping hand, reaching out, local moms, muslimmoms.ca is a starting point right here for us. Now, another one, if you need a YouTube channel, this isn't just specific for Muslims, it's across the board. There's a YouTube channel with millions of subscribers. It's called What's Up Moms. What, like WhatsApp, like what's up, you know? What's WHATS UPMOM. And again, no, this is just free. I'm not affiliated with this or anything. It's just resources out there. I saw tons of topics, tons of suggestions. How do you manage kids? How do you plan a trip? All these sorts. It's all about mothers. So there's that. So muslimmoms.ca, What's Up Moms. And if you're a book reader, let's say you love reading books, there's this really good book called How to Talk So Kids Will Listen and Listen So Kids Will Talk. I know it's a long title, but that's what it says. How to Talk So Kids Will Listen and Listen So Kids Will Talk. What's the whole point of that book? Is it shows all these different examples, real seminars, actual people that have gone through these, because it's a topic, right? Especially for moms, how do I get my kid to open up? It's a big thing. So now, mashallah, as we wrap up and conclude, I'll leave you with one final thought here. The topic for today is about mothers. And if there was one call to action I would make for all of you, and including myself, as soon as we're done, if your mom is here, give her a hug. I know, Rayan, you're right there. You can see it. You look at mom. Give her a nice big hug. Doesn't have to be an explanation. You don't need a khutbah. You don't need a lecture. Just say, I love you, mom. She might wonder, well, what's going on? What do you need? What's wrong? What's happening here? Just, I love you, mom. Nothing more, nothing less. Can you do it to your, yeah, I mean, why not? You can do it. And for those of us whose mom isn't here, let's say they're gone with Allah, take this time to make sincere dua. There's plenty of things you can do to keep the memory alive. You can give charity. You can plant trees. You can do umrah. You can make dua every day. You can write I've even seen this put as well. So it's been very helpful to stay connected is write a letter to mom. Writing a letter. Sometimes that helps with that connection. And, for those who have their, through technology, you have Zoom, you have WhatsApp, just check in. And inshallah khair, I'm sure, like you said, mom, no amount of money, no amount of anything, nothing can repay her. And at the end, just that little hug could make a small dent. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to take care of our moms, to preserve our moms, to make sure that everyone's okay. And if our moms are gone, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to cover them with mercy. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the best in this world and the best in the hereafter. Jazakumullah khairan, barakallahu feekum. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Hug your mom. Hug your mom. Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله